There's still a lot she can do. Who says she can't actually break another record? The Kipchoge we're talking about set a record before. He's still the one breaking, that record and all that. So I tell you, it's a good one for her. The Kenyans, as always, is their thing. We're not trying to compete with them because even the world seems like they've actually left it.
Okay, maybe the Ethiopians are, but nobody.
But exactly that the eastern part of Africa, they seem to have what it takes to dominate athletics, especially those marathon races, 5,000 meters, and the likes. But I'm happy for her. 16-year record she has broken. And the sweet part of it is, it now begins to tell us a new story. Just maybe the ladies might be able to equal what the men are doing. Overall in history, 22 guys just ahead of her. Who says that sometime in the future, or sometime soon, the women would not be able to run faster than men. The time she set now, there are some guys who ran with Eliud Kipchoge who could not even do that. So I think it's a good one for her. I just wish her all the best. Good one for Kenya, two of them Kenyans.
One thing I'm dying to see, for the first time in the World Athletics Championship in Doha recently, they had this mixed relay where men had to run with women and all that. I was like, this is where I thought IAAF made a mistake. They would have maybe brought in Kester Semenya to do that. Maybe she run against the men and then we'll know what to... Okay, but that... But that aside, Victor, let's go over to the men's side. Eliud Kipchoge, I think earlier last year, a bit early this year, he also ran the 2 hours mark, but then he came up to set the PAV. He had added his name in history once again. Legendary feat, right, for the young man.
Definitely. It just tells you that sometimes when you set records for yourself, and you're not able to meet that target, instead of giving up, how about you try again? And that's exactly what he did. I mean, he has tried to beat that 2 hour mark before now, but he missed out just narrowly with just a few seconds. He was able to miss out, and then he came back, practiced harder, and came back and decided to run again. 1 hour 59 minutes 42 seconds thereabout. It just shows how. I mean, it's tough of champions, definitely. This man has sealed his name in history books, running the marathon, beating, in less than 2 hours. How many persons can do that? You said you can't run 15 meters.
No, I will break my record very soon. Don't worry. I'll break it.
But it's amazing. And just like Wisdom stated, the Kenyans they found a way to seal their name in a sport. When it comes to long distance race, that is what that is what they do. They know their strength and they capitalize on their strength. Just to say, I think every country has that one sport that we can really single out and say, this is what this country is known for. This is where our stronghold is. This is where the medals will come from. Yeah. And I'm just trying to think about in Nigeria. What exactly
I was about to ask you about
could it be wrestling? That we know that, okay, in the wrestling championships, we should get some medals.
Happier times now,
True. So it's a great one for the Kenyan man right there, and of course for the team as well. It just shows, like he stated, he did this so as to prove to other athletes that nothing is actually impossible.
Let's go to the fast track of Formula 1, where Valtteri Bottas won for the first time since April to reduce the championship deficit to Hamilton to 64 points, with 104 still available. Pole sitter Sebastian Vettel held off a late fight back by Lewis Hamilton to finish runner-up, just 4 seconds ahead of the Briton. Hamilton will win his 6th world title in Mexico in a fortnight's time if he outscores Bottas by 14 points. If Hamilton wins and Bottas is 5th or lower, the Briton will move to within 1 triumph of Michael Schumacher's record. And despite Hamilton's frustration here, his Mercedes team were crowned Constructors champions for a 6th consecutive time. Reliance. Mercedes wins the Constructor Championship. How would you sum up their success so far this season?
I'm not going to do it just for this season. Of course, from what you read out, 6 consecutive times. So if you want to talk about the dominance of the Mercedes in Formula 1, then you may not really want to centralize it to this season. This is something that they've done for the past 6 years. The dominance has been there for the Mercedes. Now, each time and each season, they seem to give you a driver that will be a reckoning force in Formula 1. Recall the pairing between Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. It was more like cat and dog, but he gave them what they wanted. Now, Nico Rosberg did, what should I call it now? Like, he stole the show, and then off he went. They brought in a Valtteri Bottas, and right now they are also looking at possibilities of having a potential on the waiting, so that in case anything happened, either of Valtteri Bottas or Lewis Hamilton, then they will have a proper replacement that will keep their light, shining in Formula 1. So they've been able, they've strategized themselves such that they become like like the only power in Formula One right now. It looks like the Ferraris, who are supposed to be the other opposition, trying to see how much they can cut the deficit of the victories that the Mercedes team is having, not living up to par, not doing what is expected. You understand? You could talk about them, the drivers, some Vettel issues, the Charles Leclerc issue coming in this season, even season before this season, that's last season and 2 seasons away. The inconsistency in the Ferraris team is allowing Mercedes to continue showing their dominance. So it's a great time for them. It's time for them to reign. I think we may just be looking at Lewis Hamilton equaling Michael Schumacher's record with the Mercedes team, and that will be a very good achievement for the Mercedes.
I hope so. He gets to do that. Chidubem, Bottas wins, but Hamilton was furious. Who would you actually say has benefited more from their partnership that's between Bottas and Hamilton?
Well, I think it's a straight up answer. It has to be Hamilton. And that's because for most of the times, I mean, he's always been in the pole position to win the race, and you can't be favoring Bottas now when you know that it's Hamilton that's your best bet to win the championship. Yes, it's not done yet, but the only person that can stop him right now is Bottas. And are you going to risk those 4 races just because you want to favor Bottas? Over the races, over the different Grand Prix, we've seen times where Hamilton have had to be given that buy and say, okay, can go forward and get it. Just like we have Vettel, the Ferrari side of things. We know he's the senior driver, and of course, those favors have to come your way, except for very few occasions where it goes the other way around. So generally, Hamilton has benefited, but you don't want to take away his brilliance. It's something you've done for 6 years. It's not a fluke. A lot of people think that Hamilton is an average driver, or think perhaps he's not done enough to be classified in the class of the greats. But if you ask me, I mean, there's nothing they're going to prove. This is going to be, I'm telling you now that it's going to be his 6th victory because I don't see Bottas stopping him. I don't even think Mercedes will want to risk that. So I think this is going to be his 6th victory, and with that done, you're just 1 away from equaling the all-time record. I don't think there's anything else you need to do. Sebastian Vettel, yes, is one of them as well, one of those big wigs, but he's fortunate at the moment. But for me, good and fine for Hamilton. Support will always come to your biggest your biggest talent. When you're doing well, you get the support. So it's not rocket science that Hamilton is getting the support from Mercedes, because if that doesn't happen, well, we might have ended up in comatose, because there were times where Bottas didn't have some fine races. But overall, I'm thinking maybe next year we might see a switch of things like we did have in the past with Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. But for this season, was clearly going to be a Hamilton show, and he did that in a perfect
But don't you think, in other words, that Bottas is not putting a really good fight? Because if he was, he would have been able to finish probably second, or probably making it really difficult for Hamilton to get to win most races that he has won.
Well, Bottas has won 3 races.
It's not about team orders now. It's not about team trying to favor one person. Yeah. But don't you think Bottas would have made it difficult for Hamilton to probably go over and struggle to get all the wins he won this season?
Well, I'm trying to think of races where Bottas was actually in pole position and threw it away. He's won 3 races this season already, and it's quite commendable for a man that is supposed to be second fiddle to Lewis Hamilton. Ordinarily, we expect Lewis Hamilton to get the business done, just like in the Ferrari, we ordinarily expect Sebastian Vettel to get the job done, but somehow he faltered, and we saw Charles Leclerc coming to even steal the show ahead of him. But on the balance of things, once it's experience-wise and all that, even favors from the team, Hamilton is the man for the money. And the fact that Bottas even went ahead to win 3 races, I think that's enough for any second fiddler to do in any constructors' belt. So it's good for him. I think next season might just be that breakout season where perhaps he either decides for himself, am I going to play second fiddle to someone else, or do I want to take the bull by the horn, maybe run for another constructor? I think next season we'll decide all of this.
But because there's a glitch right there at the Japanese Grand Prix. The checkered flag came out too early.
Too early,
it's supposed to be 53 laps. After 52 laps, the flag came out, and it has caused some bit of controversy because although it didn't affect the top 5 drivers, it caused some shifts. I mean, some drivers eventually now got to finish in a lesser position. I mean, this kind of errors, this kind of slight issues should not be seen in a stage that big. I mean, how do you forget? Whoever brought out the checkered flag, was it not timing it? Did he lose calculation? Did he forget that the Japanese Grand Prix is 53 laps? After running 52 laps, you bring out the checkered flag, and then they now revolted the decision. Then he came out again the next lap. I mean, if this kind of issue had caused, maybe eventually we didn't see it, now caused the swap in the top 5 positions, I think it would have been a bigger issue than it is right now. But thankfully, they were able to just sort it out. And I mean, with the typhoon, it looks like everything ran smoothly. So good one for the Japanese themselves. The Suzuka circuit was, it was a great sight to see. And both drivers, or all drivers, giving their all. But not to forget that particular man that retired. Again, it's terrible for him. I think this is troubled times for him and his entire team.
Max Verstappen, I think it was because of the crash he had with Charles Leclerc.
Collision damage. He had a collision damage, and he got he didn't even finish the race. I mean,
disappointing times for
I
them.
tell you.
But wisdom, generally, I said I was going to break my record 100 meters maybe next year. Next year is going to be my year. But looking at how far Ferrari team they've performed this season, they've already lost the constructors championship, and they're not anywhere close to maybe winning the drivers championship as well. So that's actually out. So how would you rate their performance so far? Is that, in Japan, just this Grand Prix that just passed, Suzuka?
Well, definitely, if the results are not coming, you start asking yourself questions, because from the beginning of the season, they were not there at all. It was the mid part of the season that we started seeing Charles Leclerc finishing, on the podiums at times. And if you want to look at it generally, even their performance in Japan, yes, a Vettel who's looking like the past few races, he's not blowing hot or cold. Last time he just stopped and he's no longer driving and all that and moved on. But he found a way to keep Hamilton away to still finish second. But for Charles Leclerc, just mentioned Verstappen, after that race, I was listening to him say he called it an irresponsible driving from Charles Leclerc. He was actually given a 2 post point deduction, and found a way to slip down to 7th, as a result of that. But I think generally for Ferrari, they need to see to talk, and not just talk, but find a way to implement these things. It's teamwork. Yes, we all want to be successful as drivers and want to win the races and all that, but if we can find some balance and find a way, the team is number 1, then individually you're number 2 and all that. So I think that might just be a problem, because it seems like they don't just care about whatever happens to the team. It's just about themselves. But they would generally need to step up. Ferrari needs to step up. Their strategies, their techniques and all that. It's not a problem of the car. We say this over and over again. It's not a problem of the car they use and all that. They need to step up. You can't allow Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas to continue dominating the way they've done this season. That's in 2020 now, because I think 2019 is over. It's just by Mexico self, the man Hamilton will definitely finish things off when it comes to the drivers championship.
That is if his teammate doesn't pick any point, doesn't finish on the podium as well.
Exactly.
You can delay destiny, but you cannot change it.
This can't be denied. It's almost done and dusted. But when it comes to the Ferrari side, they need to sit down. It's not been a good 2019 at all. Even 2018. The earlier stages of 2018 were even better than what we are seeing this season. At no point in this season would you say, okay, they've dominated or won back-to-back races. It's just the fluke that Charles Leclerc did put out there again and again. No, he's good. That's not what I'm saying now. But I mean, you look at it, it's just like a stroke.
Valtteri Bottas actually won as much races as Mercedes did, as Ferrari did win this year.
Yep.
Exactly. So I think for me, they'll need to sit down and work on it. It just seems like they are having internal issues that is showing off too on the grid, both strategically and technically.
Super Eagles, no tension. You are winning by the grace of God.
When you hear that, we're about to go talk the Super Eagles and the game against Brazil. Ben Iroha, the former Nigerian international, has spoken positives of Super Eagles' performance against Brazil in an international friendly match on Sunday in Singapore. Iroha says the Nigerian team put up a remarkable improvement against the Seleção, who were 5-time FIFA World Cup winners, than they did during the African Cup of Nations in Egypt and the earlier international friendly against Ukraine. The Super Eagles were held to a 1-0 draw by Brazil after Joe Aribo scored first for Nigeria on 35 minutes before Casemiro drew Brazil level early in the second period. I'm impressed, quoting him now. He said, "I'm impressed, honestly. Iroha snapped from his base in the United States of America, not just because of the 1-0 draw result. No, it's just always about who win, but how did the team play? I must say the Eagles were good in their organization. They showed a lot of maturity and character, which to me shows a remarkable improvement from their game at the Nations Cup and the friendly match against Ukraine." this match was something everybody was expecting. But Victor, Ben Iroha was impressed. How impressed were you from the Eagles' performance yesterday?
I was impressed, although.
How impressed?
I mean, we said it yesterday that it's not something that we should make a big deal out of.
Okay.
It was a friendly match, but I must say that I was definitely impressed with the performance of Gernot Rowe and his boys. It looked like, you could see how they were playing. You could see that this was their tactics. Some persons might say that they could have changed things a little and probably gotten a better result if they were all attacking. But you could see that the tactics was so clear. Sit back, soak in the pressure, and eventually find a way to force the counter-attacks, working through the wings. I mean, it was just so clear throughout the game, man. That's something that we've not seen with Nigerian Super Eagles in a very long time. Most times we complain about when we watch them play, you don't see any philosophy, any clear-cut tactics, but that changed yesterday, and they were able to squeeze out a draw. I mean, playing with a team as big as Brazil.
Before I go on to the other guys, let's go pay some bills, and when we come back, you get the thoughts of the other guys in the studio.
Ladies and gentlemen, I go by the name B-Easy. We in the building, right here, with my man Praise.
Every day, we hear the call by communities for companies to perform better social corporate responsibilities. Organizations have decried the ease of doing business in River State. For there to be development in the state, there must be a working relationship between organizations and communities.
These foreign companies come to Nigeria, devastate our environment, cut away our resources, and go and develop their own country.
Your Premium Talker Radio will be provided a platform for organizations and communities to dialogue, as we will be gathering stakeholders from within and outside River State and the Niger Delta at large. The summit is tagged fostering better relations between host communities and organizations.
Like I said, we are suffering. We can't even fish. Also, we also want them.
Only on your Premium Talk Radio, Today 95.1 FM.
Welcome back. It's still Today's Sports Live, and we are already talking about the Super Eagles game against Brazil, where they were held in a 1-1 draw against the Seleção of Brazil. And let's go to the other guys here to give us their thoughts of what they thought about the game against Brazil. Reliance. Iraho talked about the way the team played yesterday, the performance against the Brazilians. The performance to you, was it okay from the Super Eagles? The tactics Gernot used in that particular game, was it something you were impressed with?
Yeah, it was very much okay. It was impressive. For once, I saw a Gernot who seems to have a philosophy.
But was it the best you've seen so far from Gernot and his lads?
I think I would say yes.
Okay.
Because over time, my problem with Gernot is, or has been, you've been getting us the results in most cases, but you don't seem to have a clear-cut philosophy or approach to any game. Mm-hmm. So what you do is you just throw in the boys, give them the formation to play, and they just go in there and play. Now, that being said, most times, most matches, the philosophy and the approach to those matches depends on the opponent you play,
exactly.
On the day. But for someone to have a philosophy and approach to a football, it doesn't really matter in most cases. You just know that whatever happens, if I have to tweak things, then I have to tweak things. Mm-hmm. We saw that from Gernot yesterday. He had a game plan. Sit back, read the game, read the pace of the game. Of course, you wouldn't want to drag positioning of football from the Brazilians. Our midfield wasn't the best of it. At least for one thing, we lacked a carrier of that midfield in the person of Peter Etebo. He didn't play yesterday.
He didn't.
So I had fears earlier on, only to be made to relax, to calm my nerves with Joe Aribo's performance. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't want to drag the position from them. Let them play, dictate the pace of the game, hit them on the break, and it worked for Gernot yesterday. So talking about gameplay, I was very much okay with it. Now, my problem would be developing that gameplay, developing that performance yesterday subsequently. We don't want to see a Super Eagles that did as much as they did against the Brazil side, going into the qualifiers. Of course, after now, what is lying up for them is the African Nations Cup qualifiers, and going to the qualifiers, and then you seem to revert to the Genoro we knew.
Yeah.
How will you develop from this? We didn't really have majority of our we had the majority, but some of our best legs were not in that game, but you were able to put out such an impressive performance. Now, how will you develop on that going forward? Developing in that game early on in the first half, I talked about the lack of connectivity up front between the trio of Moses Simon, Samuel Chukwueze, and Victor Osimhen, but that later came in the second half. That means there was that development. So what he needs to work on now is sustaining that. Let it not be that Genaro did that yesterday just to maintain his name, just to, because of course getting the draw against the Brazil, star-studded Brazil, sells your name a lot, being that you are the coach of the Super Eagles. And now when you face a Lesotho, which you're going to meet, in our African Nations Cup qualifiers or some other teams like that, you forget about the whole thing, you forget about the coordination and everything, and you revert back. So sustenance of that development should be the next thing that Genaro should be working on.
Chidubem, would you identify those loopholes in that particular team against the Brazilians? Because Genaro featured his strong 11 against the Brazil. So can you highlight some of those loopholes you noticed in that particular game?
Well, the obvious one has to be set pieces. We struggled with it throughout the entire encounter, and it looked like the point where it looked like the Brazilians were a breath of ideas. They had nothing to do anymore, because obviously they couldn't come through the middle because we had a stalwart in midfield, in Didi, and then Chidozie was inputting a very huge shift. So it was difficult to penetrate to the middle, and of course the brilliance of Neymar was absent, so it was even more difficult to break in. So they had to resort to crossing the balls, and Coutinho was very, very instrumental in that one. He did it so perfectly that they got the goal from there and struck the bar twice doing that. And it's a problem for Nigeria. We have to work on our set piece defending, and it's a thing about the coach. You don't learn that one in your backyard. The coach teaches you that, and not just the coach is now, because about organization. Defending set pieces is all about organization. We heard about I heard Jose Mourinho talking about this some years back, and how to defend set pieces basically, and it takes time, it takes concentration. The defenders have to be 100% concentrated to be able to do that. But generally, I would think the performance of the guys were good. I will not make too much about the whole tactics and all that. He's a man that from the onset, although a lot of people will say he doesn't have a playing style, he actually does have a playing style, just that it's not a style we love. So when someone doesn't do what we love, we say he doesn't have a style. Genaro is a man who loves to defend whenever he plays a big opposition, and he does that every other time. But yesterday, somehow, he was able to be brilliant. And I think the Brazilians did him a favor when they told him that their concentration was going to be on Iwobi, because they believed that Iwobi was going to be the link between the midfield and Osimhen. And somehow they failed in that one. Genaro was smart enough to boycott the midfield in that game and walk through the wings, and it worked out perfectly for the boys. I wish going forward that smartness we'll see more often in that team, because this team is very young and raring to go.
Wisdom, quickly, with the injury on Francis Uzoho, would you say that Maduka Okoye did enough to come in place for him instead of Ikechukwu Ezenwa?
No, he wasn't tested, Dorcas, and I think he did little to nothing. It was not when the game was, the height of the game, when the Brazilians threatened us a lot, and the defenders that William Chustock maybe did his own good part. Aside the fact that we too were trying to go forward, against the Brazilians towards the tail end of that game. But generally, I feel now that Uzoho is injured, we don't exactly have the months on our hands now that he will be absent, but it looks like certainly he might be missing that game, against Lesotho or Benin Republic. And we wait to see who comes in for him. Is the coach going to stick with Maduka Okoye now? Surprisingly for me, because I feel Ikechukwu Ezenwa, based on experience, should have gotten the nod ahead of.
The excuse he gave was the fact that
he needed to be capped.
Not capped. He said Ikechukwu Ezenwa will be going to play for the Super Eagles B side, so he didn't want to stress him so much.
So maybe we'll see when that time comes, because that will be another mathematics to solve. But quickly, Dorcas, on what the guys have pointed out, I think first Genaro, let's get this straight. Genaro is not a bad coach, but in his management, game management within 90 minutes has always been a problem. Knowing who to substitute when those times when he calls for that. We're begging him yesterday. What's his name now? Samuel Chukwueze ran out of steam. We're begging him. This guy is out and tired. Take him out. It's a friendly game. It's not like we have made all our substitutions. There's no other person that can come in, at that point. You look at Alex Iwobi. at some point in that game, there was no Alex Iwobi. He was missing, in the game. They completely took him out. The Brazilians, as Chidubem pointed out, they knew he was the man. I tell you, most of the time, the Super Eagles, he does the supplies and all that, and the connections.
Connectivity, yeah.
Outside the fact that yesterday, it has now been established that there's another boy in the defensive midfield position who can actually do something going forward, Joe Aribo, and maybe give some options to we as a team. Outside he will be doing that work of connecting. Etebo tries to do that at times, but it just seems like Aribo too did well enough to steal the show. But I tell you, Dorcas, generally, I feel there's still a lot to be done with the Super Eagles. But yesterday's game was good, and I think anyhow anybody wants to classify it, we played against Brazil, and that was the best Brazil has to offer in terms of players. I'm not saying the game play, and they said it after that game that Nigeria is more of a tougher team than the Senegal they face. So I think good one for the Super Eagles. But now that goalkeeping position, there's a lot of question mark. If Uzoho is not coming,
there's always been a lot of questions.
Yeah, will he bring back the man from Kaizer Chiefs? Now talking about Daniel Akpeyi, who he has dropped after the Nations Cup,
right.
Or will he stick with Ikechukwu Ezenwa? Some are even suggesting that he should go back to the MPFL, that is not even in session,
and bring
high. So
bring back Eyama.
Okay, but quickly to the
Togo.
game yesterday, Shemi Ajayi coming in that defensive position,
Yeah,
it also showed us that he didn't do too well. If you ask me, I feel maybe we know Kenneth Mure wasn't around. Just maybe would have tried Chidoziem Awazim in that position and maybe allow Shehu Abdullahi, because Chidoziem Awazim going forward could not do the runs that he normally does, and crosses the ball. But generally for me, it was a good game.
All right, then you've heard the thoughts of the guys. It's time for us to hear your thoughts on what exactly everything we talked about. We talked about the friendly between Brazil, the Nigeria and Brazil played out a 1-1 draw in that particular one. We told you about Formula One as well. We also talked about Kenyans who are breaking every record that they can right now. The phone numbers are 081700000951, or you can call 0810-951-0951. Hello, good afternoon. Today Sports Live.
Yes. I think you've written some more this by people in the studio there.
Good afternoon to you, Obina.
Please, what did Garnet sorry, the excuse you gave for not bringing Ezenwa when the injury occurred? He said what?
He doesn't want to stress him because he's going to go play for the Super Eagles B side in the Chan game against the Togolese.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let me get my disappointment with the outcome of yesterday's match. The blunt and honest Brazilian team that is starting old than the harvest would be easily devoted of the match, and we are singing Kumbaya. All this analysis you're making, we shouldn't judge the strength of our team when we make opponent that come to the party. I don't know if you guys can help us and rate the Brazilian team that we saw yesterday 1 to 10. That would have been better for me. I think Anetro has succeeded in telling this thing to us that will accept anything just because of the position that he has kept us.
All right, then.
Performance, the Brazilian that we saw yesterday is there for the taking.
All right.
Disappointing draw.
Thank you so much for calling. Okay, we lost that particular call. You can keep your calls coming through. We talked a lot about the game that Nigeria played against the Seleção of Brazil, where they were held in the 1-1 draw. We talked about Formula One, where Mercedes have eventually won the Constructors' Championship, and as well, Lewis Hamilton and his teammates are fighting to see who is going to be the driver champion for this year. Hello, Today Sports Live. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome to the show. Your name and where you're calling from?
Anita from UPT.
All right, your thoughts on the show this afternoon?
Yes, this guy that's calling you last night is always against Super Eagles. I thank God he has seen it yesterday. I would beat Brazil, but unfortunately to them, they play 1-1 draw.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Yeah, good afternoon to you. Name and where you're calling from?
Hello, my name is Kelechi, and I want to talk about the Super Eagles game yesterday.
Go on.
Yeah, there's this guy that I've been looking for. This one young guy, one fair guy that is playing down our left hand side.
Tyrone Eboué.
Yeah, Tyrone Eboué. What was the guy?
It was on the bench.
He was on the bench
yesterday.
But I thought the guy is better than.
He's just coming back from injury, so I'm thinking he doesn't want to stress him that much.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Hello, today's Sports Life. We lost that one. You can keep your calls coming through. Let's go to the WhatsApp portal.
Yes, we have some messages coming through. This one says, "Good afternoon, Pundit. That injury for Francis Uzo was just a no-no for me. The way he went about that defense, trying to save that header by Casemiro or someone, was so unprofessional. I blame him for that injury. Did you see how he landed with his legs? I really feel for Francis. I pray he gets well soon."
All right. Good afternoon to you. Today's Sports Life.
Hello.
Yeah, your name, where you're calling from.
Football without violence.
My name is Innocent.
All right, welcome to the show.
Yeah. I think that our coach Genetro did well yesterday.
Okay.
Yes, because the best form of attack is best form of defense is attack. If you watch him, when he was substituting our players, he only put in attackers, destabilizing the Brazilians. Because Brazilians thought that he would be defending yesterday.
Okay.
But Genetro squat their thoughts. And they are the one that equalized, not us. So Genetro did well yesterday. He's a good coach.
All right, then. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Hello, good afternoon. Today's Sports Life.
Hey, Doctors, well done.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Well done. Go back. Go girl. Doctors, just like Obina, let me also express disappointment. You understand? Almost Nigerians. I keep saying it yesterday. Whether we won the game. You understand? And then you see, I feel that we celebrate mediocrity too much. It's not like what Obina said. Look at it. They played the last 4 games. They lost 1 and draw 3. And then we are jubilating, celebrating as if we have won a World Cup trophy in a game that ended in a draw. Even that goal that was scored by what's his name was against the runner play.
Okay.
Anyway, they were opening at different Nigerians are everybody jubilating. I'm even shocked at the first section yesterday in your show and the way everybody was jubilating and getting happy. Honestly, we just celebrated mediocrity. That's what we have just done. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Hello, good afternoon. We lost that one. So let's move on to talk other matters on the show this afternoon.
There are a few areas that define a man, like sports.
Let's go talk about international games where Daniel James insists he did not get knocked out during Wales Euro 2020 qualification clash with Croatia. Manchester United ace James appeared to be out cold after a nasty-looking collision with Domagoj Vida as both went for a high ball. Fans were shocked to see James continue after the blow, with many suspecting the youngster has suffered a concussion. However, the man himself insists he was not knocked out in the collision and was okay to continue. Major results from the games played yesterday saw Belarus losing to Netherlands 2-1. Germany dismantled Estonia 3-0. Wales and Croatia played out a 1-0 draw. Kazakhstan lost to Belgium 2-0. Scotland finished San Marino 6-0. Bosnia and Herzegovina won Finland 4-1. Italy defeated Greece 2-0. Denmark defeated Switzerland 1-0. Malta lost to Sweden 4-0, while Norway and Spain played out a 1-all draw. Victor, the video that has been trending since yesterday concerning the games so far in the international scene, how did you see those games pan out eventually?
I think there are quite some exciting games, particularly in the Euro 2020 qualifiers, as well as some international friendly matches that were played over the weekend. San Marino seems to be the whooping boys of the tournament. I mean, Belgium defeated them so well, and now again they suffered another defeat, 6-0. It ended. Well, this is the Euro 2020 qualifier. Some teams are through already. Belgium is already through to the Euro 2020, as well as
Italy.
True.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting. It's been pretty exciting to watch. But I mean, the truth is we're not so interested in it. No one was so interested in the qualifiers. We just want to see the teams proper. I mean, seeing San Marino play. You're just seeing some teams that shouldn't even.
What is wrong with this San Marino side?
They're not a footballing nation.
Over the years,
They
over
are
the years.
200 and
Over
what's
the
their
years.
position again? Is it
No, over
200?
the years, not just this year. They've at least been reducing the deficit. They've always been collecting since 2000.
That's why it's not.
They've been collecting.
I mean, just sitting there in front of the TV and you just know that obviously it's going to be a large scoring game and obviously going to be
So
against
if
San
you bet
Marino.
it, you are quite sure that you
work
get
for the paper
over
guys.
2.5, right?
I'm not the paper guy.
At least I know that one over 2.5. So trust me, if anybody had played that one, they would have obviously
But
got
because there were some
2.5.
international friendlies that also were exciting. I believe tomorrow there should be a friendly match between Brazil and Argentina. I'm yet to confirm that, but I saw that in a
The Argentines yesterday crushed Ecuador. I think 5 goals to 6 or 5 or 6.
6 goes to 1.
To 1. So yeah, if they're going to go face them, it's going to be really tough.
yeah, it's going to be tough. But then Brazil that Nigeria was able to draw on. I mean.
Yeah, you could use that as a
to rub
defense. Yeah, and so Wisdom, the video that has been trending since yesterday. Did you eventually see that video?
Well, I did. I tell you, and it was something else when he went down talking about Daniel James.
Yeah.
Now, Demagogue Vida and another player, actually ran into him, and he just fell down on the ground and motionless. His hands, his legs widespread, like a man who, just in case you're imagining what it is, you can go on YouTube and check it out, like he was dead. So he just lied there flat. The referees, everybody was calling, oh, please, let's see what we can do. This guy is probably has gone into, he had some concussion or something on his head, as the case may be. But the truth is, at the end of the day, he continued the game and told the doctors that nothing was wrong with him, that he just wanted to lie down.
Okay.
And there's truth to that I tell you. Some tests conducted after the game, we've heard earlier today that nothing was wrong with Daniel James. The Manchester United fans I knew around me were crying. They said, oh, they are Daniel James that they are just managing.
They are man of the season.
They are man of the season, my dear. The man they are just managing that brings in some sparks into the team. See the way he went down, and they were thinking it was the end for him. But the man moved on and continued the game. Ryan Giggs came out today just after that game, and he talked about the fact that Daniel James, what he did was, let me quote him now, he said he's streetwise. That is, he just decided to fall down so he could probably get the referee and all that to come to his aid, as the case may be. Because tests and everything that's been done on the man shows that nothing was wrong with him. But I pity for Daniel James. He's a young star. We know what was wrong with Neymar, or what happened to Neymar, what has been happening to Neymar. As a young star growing up most of the time, because of his flicks and all that, he always gets dropped on the ground. And sometimes when some of us watch the game, some people tend to believe the referees just favor the guy because they believe he's a young star. You push him and he's not really that big-bodied and all that. For Daniel James, our referee's going to be taking him seriously. After seeing that a man pretended to be flat, the medics, everybody ran in thinking Daniel James had passed out, and they were trying to resuscitate him, and the man said, okay, I'm fine and I can go on. So I wonder what will be happening when he goes to the ground, knowing that he's still a young star. He doesn't have the biggest of legs, does 1 or 2 flicks at times and goes to the ground most times, especially when playing for Manchester United. But for the Welsh side, it's a good thing. There's a Gareth Bale in the picture, who some believe his career is winding down, and Daniel James is on the rise. Good one for Ryan Giggs, good one for the Welsh national team.
As for England, we saw how they lost to the Czech Republic 2-1. How did you see that performance against Czech Republic? Because everybody, they're calling their heads of Gareth Southgate right now because of that particular performance. They lost that one, and they are on the brink of maybe not qualifying or qualifying for the Euro 2020. What is happening to the Three Lions?
But the Three Lions has always been they've always been an average team over the years.
Yeah.
Forget whatever happened at the Russia 2018 World Cup.
No, we can't forget it is a World Cup.
Brother, forget them. Forget them. It counts for less. Remember in that World Cup, it was like when the draws were made, they were pitched at a side where they will barely face a very difficult opposition. So they were just facing almost nobody in terms of football, and then eventually they got to the point that they got to when they face a tougher team in Belgium. What happened?
So do you think Bulgaria, they are facing Bulgaria today tonight by 7:45? Do you think they're going to be a tougher, opponent for the Three Lions?
Maybe Bulgaria can stun in a surprise. You can't say, but I think with the level of players they have,
English players are very angry right now.
They should be able to do something. They should be able to get a result. Bulgaria themselves, not really one of the greatest football nation, in Europe or in the world at large. So you should expect that Gareth Southgate and the boys he parade, in his team should be able to get results over Bulgaria. But for them generally, for that team generally, Dockers, you understand that this is what happens when a particular team is overhyped. We've talked about the British media and the stuff. They will always push
I beg to differ.
To you.
I don't think
For the Three Lions, I think it's a case of having average players as majority in the team. The only player I can pick out of that team and I'll pitch my finger on and say, okay, this is a star player, maybe Harry Kane, and then someone at the defense.
Sterling? Is Sterling not?
Well, Sterling.
I mean, people.
Yeah, Sterling. You understand? So,
I think
apart from that, overall, there's nothing so special about that team at the moment.
I think we're making a big deal out of just one bad game. Everyone has every team, Manchester City, and that's the problem. Why is no one clamoring for Manchester City? They're not a good team because they lost to Wolves to goals to nothing. I mean, Gareth Southgate lost to Czech Republic. It just seemed like on the night, Czech Republic were the better team. 2-1. It wasn't even a huge scoring margin, not 6 goals to nothing. Every good team loses a game. The first leg, England hammered Czech Republic. Was it not 5 to nothing? And then the second leg, 2-1, and then everyone is clamoring that England has always been an average team. I don't think
England,
but today they will be playing Bulgaria. They'll be playing Bulgaria today.
Yeah.
England are top of that group with 12 points. If they win Bulgaria, they are they are through to the Euro 2020.
Event, yeah.
Bulgaria have not won any match since they started this qualifiers. They are bottom of the table, no win at all. They've lost 3 matches. The first leg, England trashed them. I think it's going to be the same story again. It's just that the game against Czech Republic, they lost to a better team. Czech were the better team, and it wasn't just their night.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines and get to hear your thoughts on everything we've talked about on the show. Good afternoon to you. We lost that one. Keep your calls coming through. We've talked a lot about the Euro 2020 qualifiers. We've talked about the Super Eagles, the draw against Brazil. We've talked about Formula One. We've talked about Kenyan athletes, breaking every record that they can so far. Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Okay, that's a silent caller. Let's go to the WhatsApp portal.
Yes, there's some messages coming through. Ugochukwu from Port Harcourt says, good afternoon, guys and lady. The Super Eagles tried yesterday in the match. Many people did not give the Eagles a chance at all. Cannot rush to build the team so that they will go places. Obina from Morazi says he's assessing our team for over 3 years with a blunt and uninspiring Brazilian team that we saw yesterday is the height of celebrating mediocrity. This message says, repeating yourself over and over again would not make your opinion acceptable.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Hello, good afternoon. Today's Sports Live.
Hello,
yeah, good afternoon. Name where you're calling from?
All
right, welcome to the show. Your opinion?
As for me, I want a Super Eagles match yesterday. I was very, very disappointed because I put it on the Gunnarus to win that match by 2. I predicted against Brazil, but we have to draw. So Brazil have a better luck yesterday.
Okay, so, maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
All right.
So as for me, Manchester United and they want to kill that young guy career.
Daniel James?
They want to kill that James career. James should go and he should come to Chelsea.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Let's get other thoughts on the show. Hello, good afternoon. Today's Sports Live. Keep it simple and short.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon. Name and where you're calling from.
My name is Bolarenwa from Port Harcourt.
All right, welcome to the show.
Well, let me comment quickly on yesterday match. Everybody was just condemning General. I think General did marvelously well yesterday.
Okay.
You see, in a game of football, when you realize that your opponent have a better midfielder and they know how to hold on to the ball more than you, you don't have to rush them. What they did yesterday was man marking. You see that Osimhen was dropping backward to even join in destabilizing or blocking the Brazilian midfield.
Okay.
Whereby when the ball drops on the hands of the players, they launch it for attack. The person that is cutting up most of the flow yesterday was Iwobi.
All right.
I think Iwobi is in the best of his form. Yesterday, Nigeria will have nipped the match.
All right. Thank you so much for your thought on the show. Hello, good afternoon. Today's Sports Live.
Yes, quickly, Doctors. Reliance, I thank you for pointing out how hard England team is.
Okay.
If you see where they get their midfielders and their right fullback, you will know that they have the backing of the media. If you see the EPL club side, their midfielders and their right fullback.
All right, then.
You know they will always get the backing of the media that gives them what's best on their paper when Messi will play.
All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts and wisdom. We have any messages?
Just your little insights here. Former Super Eagles player Peter Odemwingie has announced his decision to become a professional golf player.
Yeah, I saw that story as well, but I'm quite sorry we couldn't take any more calls. We are out of time. I did the show with Wisdom Obina, Victor Oriagi, and Reliable Reliance. We also had one, Chidubem Njoko. He left to do something really important. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll come back tomorrow after the news update at 3 p.m. But before that, we'll bring you Sports Attack, 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for sticking with us on the show this afternoon. Have a good day ahead.
Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Good afternoon. Here is the news update on Today 95.1 FM. I am Ifeemi Andrew. The Rivers State Council of the Nigerian Labour Congress has declared its readiness to join in the impending nationwide strike by the labor movement in Nigeria. The state chairman of the NLC, Beatrice Itubo, told our correspondent Chinedu Iwuna that the move is in line with a directive by the national leadership of the NLC. The NLC boss called on Rivers workers to get ready for further directives regarding the proposed strike.
We've got a directive from the national that we should mobilize. We should also get in touch with our TUC and Joint Public Service Negotiating Council counterparts. Of course, we have done that and we are seriously mobilizing even the unions. We have called on leadership of the unions and they have also got to mobilize their members at the grassroots. So here in River State, we are very ready. And then when you come, that is just like a whistle. I must get ready. We are ready. As soon as the whistle is blown, of course, you can be rest assured that River State will be 100% compliant. But I know that even the government will not be expecting that we should be disobedient to our national directives. And yes, we have a kind of a relationship with the government, but the government will also do the right thing. And for now, though it has not come to the state, we are still waiting for the table on the consequential adjustment. When that comes, I want to believe that the state government will do well to implement. But now, if we have a national directive that we should go on strike, of course, we will comply 100%.
Also speaking, the River State chairman of the Joint Public Negotiating Council, Chukwu Emecheta, clarified that the industrial action is not against the state government.
It's not a state affairs. It has to do with the generality of the country, and the directive comes from national headquarters of Joint Council. So we take directive from national headquarters of Joint Council. As long as we are concerned, the strike is a national strike, and we will comply to it in that order. If we have state issues, we address it based on state issues. You are saying from the beginning we have not declared any. It's not as if we have no need for it, but we look at things and put the interests of our state first in everything we are doing, and that is why we are where we are.
And now a high court sitting in Port Harcourt has ordered the Nigerian military and the 6th Division of the Nigerian Army in Port Harcourt to pay the sum of 200 million naira to the chairman of Akokotoro local government area, Roland Sekibo, Tobin, and Damiete, for infringement on their rights. Justice George Omereji gave the order in his judgment in the case of infringement of human rights during the last general elections in the state, instituted by Sekibo and 2 others. Justice Omereji in his judgment ruled that it was wrong for the Nigerian Army to invade the privacy of the appellants in indicting the Nigerian Army of the allegations against the appellants. Speaking to newsmen, counsel to the Nigerian Army and 6th Division of the Nigerian Army, Samuel Godfrey, said he is not satisfied with the judgment of the court and hence may possibly appeal the judgment. The counsel to claimants, Ibim Dokubo, however, welcomed the judgment in favor of his client. Also speaking in an interview with correspondent Uchendu Ejiowo on the judgment, Roland Sekibo expressed satisfaction on the outcome of the judgment, just as he commended the people for standing by him in time of trial. You would recall that some military uniform men had, during the last presidential elections in the state, allegedly invaded the homes of some of the appellants and arrested them after a soldier was shot dead and some wounded, leading to the declaration of some of the appellants wanted. And the Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service, retired Colonel Ahmed Ali, has insisted that all import and export of goods from the nation's land borders remains banned. According to Ali, the measure is for the security agencies to be able to scan the goods entering the country until there is an agreement with neighboring countries on the kind of goods that should enter and exit the country. He further revealed that all goods must henceforth enter the country only through the legitimate air and sea ports, where they can undergo thorough scanning and certified fit for consumption. In retaliation, neighboring Niger Republic has banned the exportation of rice to Nigeria following the closure of Nigeria's borders. And on the foreign scene, Tanzania's President John Magufuli has announced that he has shifted his base from the country's commercial capital and largest city, Dar es Salaam, to the capital, Dodoma. President Magufuli announced the relocation, which is the brainchild of the country's first president, Julius Nyerere, while registering as a voter ahead of local elections. According to reports, all ministries and key government departments have already relocated to Dodoma. And that's it on the news update. Thank you for your time, and bye-bye for now.
Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Every day, we hear the call by communities for companies to perform better social corporate responsibilities. Organizations have decried the ease of doing business in River State. For there to be development in the state, there must be a working relationship between organizations and communities.
These foreign companies come to Nigeria, devastate our environment, cut away our resources, and go and develop their own country.
Your premium talker radio will be provided a platform for organizations and communities to dialogue, as we will be gathering stakeholders from within and outside River State and the Niger Delta at large. The summit is tagged fostering better relations between host communities and organizations.
Like I said, we are suffering. We can't even fish. Also, we also want them
only on your premium talk radio today, 95.1 FM.
Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Still your premium talk radio station, Today 95.1 FM, the news update at 1. The federal government is making plans towards the recovery of... Oh, they call my line again now. Hello?
Hello?
Eh?
What is happening? I've not been getting that desired result on my advert placed on radio.
You said you wanted a good place to showcase your products now.
Yes. Someone told me about Today 95.1 FM and I said I should call.
Okay. Just come to Today 95.1 FM. I beg. I read news now. Thanks.
On my way.
Sorry for that break. Still on the news, Governor of...
This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people.
Cultism is a monster whose ravaging effects have left tales of woes such as loss of lives, kidnapping, drug abuse, threats, destruction of properties, blackmail, rape, and many other ills in society. In our society today, poor parental training, peer pressure, poverty, quest for power and social identity are the leading factors that contributes to youths indulging in this act. Again, peace can be restored to our society only if we attach value to human lives. And this would bring about rapid development to our community. Say no to cultism. This message is brought to you by Today 95.1 FM, voice of the people.
Here at Today, we bring you what you need to hear.
But this is what they're going after. They're not going to
Let me learn it has to be applicable to all situations.
No, it cannot be because when the evidence.
Some people are not sure of 1 meal a day in a society with such huge potentials. If a criminal passes that place, whichever means he used in passing, and you turn around to blame the citizen, for instance, people will ask you, were you not there? Malaria kills Nigerians. Malaria.
News.
This is the World News. I am Annie Abdul Salam. In the headlines, Federal Executive
Sports and entertainment.
My name is Chubogu Najib. Straight up to football on the show.
This is Today. Every day, 24/7, 365. We are your official all-year radio station.
All stands, greet.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You're welcome to Jagbajantis High School. My name is Sound Sultan, your new mathematics teacher. By the way, do you understand Pidgin English?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now what we go use henceforth? Okay, carry your pen. Carry your paper. Fem for my class. People of this world, them plenty. Since people many, so many. Many times plenty.
Multiply.
Many times plenty. Multiply. The answer you get now waiting, they make come and they cry. The answer you get now waiting, they make rich man they mess and leaders they lie. The answer you get now waiting, they make young boys and girls join party gang. Answer you get now waiting, they make innocent man rot inside the jail. Get it, and then agree to grant and bail. Get it. Everybody, oh yeah,
Join Jagbajantis, make we solve mathematics.
We did about our continent, so
Oyinbo say about mass,
we go use take
solve mathematics. So follow Jagbajantis.
So ya carry by be for brotherhood.
Love your neighbor as yourself,
Oh, for objectivity.
Be objective, gentlemen.
For democracy. M for modification
of our behavior, let's stand to the same behavior.
A, accountability.
If you've been a chop money, I beg you take time easy.
S for solidarity.
United and divided, oh my shell.
We enter new millennium. Nigerians like 120 million. One population of 6 billion.
6 billion.
Divide that one by one. on 20 million altogether. Oh yeah, altogether. You get now waiting, they make people they jar. Come on for Niger. Answer you get now waiting, they make people want travel. By hook or by crook. The answer you get now waiting, they make people they sleep for embassy, for visa. Answer you get now waiting, they make people they sell them property for ticket. Get it, get it. Then they travel, see. Get it. Join Jabbajantis, solve mathematics. We did our continent. So, Oyibo say, Labatmas, we go use take solve mathematics. So follow Jabbajantis. So ya Caribbeiro, be for brotherhood. Love your neighbor as yourself. Oh, for objectivity. Be objective, gentlemen, for democracy, no matter how high it is, better military, and for modification of our behavior, turn to the stereo. A accountability. If you been a chop money, I beg you take them easy. S for solidarity, united we stand and divided. Oh my shell, you just the HSCity. Shut it down. And there's the VG City. Right go level for AJ City. AJ City. The rich man gonna be VJ City. VJ City. You try at AJ and VJ City all together. Oh yeah, all together. The answer you get now waiting, they make rich man oppress and then suppress. The answer you get now waiting, they make poor man depress. But then aggress. The answer you get now waiting, they make poor man they try to keep up with the Joneses. Answer you get now waiting, they make poor man begin. They try to prove a limit. Get it. Never get money, then they finish. Get it. Oh, yeah. Everybody, oh yeah, join Jabbajantis. Solve mathematics. We did about our continent. So, Oyibo say, the must we go use takes of mathematics. So follow Jabbajantis. So ya can't
situation in this nation, disposition, our condition, unexplainable pain in our hearts, not to mention brothers killing brothers, full of pain, salvation. Resolutions are made, but always made with lack of vision. Imperfection is the order as we keep seeking solutions. Only God can solve this mathematical equation.
Thanks for your contribution. Now, any more questions?
It all begins with breaking news.
Now, make no mistake, this is a difficult mission, and it will remain difficult for some time.
Then it keeps trending. Events, issues, personalities, all struggling to gain attention. But in the race for deadlines, the intrigues, power play, undercurrents are often missed or underreported.
Insecurity here is basically a product of poverty.
But not anymore.
As the platform on radio steps in to fill the missing links on events, issues, and personalities in the news.
I'm not afraid of anybody. Yeah!
The platform on radio serves only the hottest topics and trending issues. Only on Today 95.1 FM.
95.1 FM.
Port Harcourt. Every weekday at 4 p.m. Get on the platform on radio and be served.
So the means of social control in Ikweremland is dying. That's why you have all these little cults that kill our sons and daughters. Ikwere has contributed more people to the deaths in River State. The government gives passive approval to crime. Unfortunately, It's only in Igbo land where people are dying uselessly. I plead with you all, please keep away from street gangs. Face education. I am happy that today in Rivers State, we have the highest number of doctors. We have the highest number of lawyers. That is development. One important thing I need to tell you is that with what is going on, we will all smile very soon. It's when people come to IYM just because they want to get a position. It's gone.
All right, that was the President General of Ikore Youth Movement, Zubi Kewanjoku, calling for more societal control and also encouraging the youths to take to meaningful ventures. 19 minutes now past the hour of 4, and you're welcome to another edition of the platform on radio here on Today 95.1 FM, the premium talk radio station. My name is Ifeimi Andrew.
And I'm Wealth Wilson.
And together we will be giving you insight into some of the news reports making the rounds. For those who are new, the platform is a program where we come to slice up trending issues with correspondent reports on the side. We have our correspondents bring these reports from the field. We take their reports on the program and then get them to also, give us more information. The point is to see if we can get more that we don't have on the news for your listening pleasure. Well, let's see what we have on the menu. Level of insecurity in Ikore communities in Rivers State attributed to lack of societal control. Former Senator representing Rivers Southeast constituency, Senator Magnus Abe, cites lack of internal democracy amongst political parties as major cause of Nigeria's many challenges. Also, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Robert Clark, says Nigeria's constitution and current system of government allows corruption to thrive in every sector. Plus, Rivers State Council of Nigerian Labour Congress declares readiness to join in impending nationwide strike by labor movement in the country. So now, the level of insecurity in Ikore communities across the 4 Ikore-speaking local governments of Obiakpo, Emoha, Ikore and Port Harcourt in Rivers State have been blamed on lack of societal control. What does that mean is a big question. Well, President General of Ikore Youth Movement, Zubi Kewanjoku, made the observation in an interview at an event in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State. He noted that Ikore people have been the worst hit amidst the insecurity in the state, which he said could have been averted. Wanjoku at the event held to honor some individuals from Obiakpo and the Minister of Transportation encouraged the Ikore youth to pursue education rather than take the violence which he said has caused underdevelopment in Ikore land.
So the means of social control in Ikore land is dying. That's why you have all these little cults that kill our sons and daughters. Ikore has contributed more people to the deaths in River State. The government gives tacit approval to crime. Unfortunately, it's only in Ikore land where people are dying uselessly. I plead with you all, please keep away from street gangs. Face education. I am happy that today in River State, we have the highest number of doctors. We have the highest number of lawyers. That is development. One important thing I need to tell you is that with what is going on, we will all smile very soon. It's when people come to IYM just because they want to get a position. It's gone.
Marshal Chukwu, Lucky Wolu, and Chimene Mamadi on their part says IYM is not affected by despite the ban on youth activities by Rivers State Governor. Here's some.
Tell us to know that the Igbo youth movement is unstoppable. Let nobody deceive anybody. We are unstoppable. If you want to stop IYM, go and stop the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The neighbor deserves his wage. This nation has remained very faithful to the calling and the vision and mission of our leader, right there, Honorable Timothy. For some of us, even if those who say they want to become, if I go and say, I want to come and join, they will refuse to be accepted.
The essence of our gathering this evening basically is to honor our own, some of our brothers and the zones that have done well so far.
Well, so societal control. First off, the question is what does he mean by societal control?
I think societal control, from the way I think
in
of
this
it,
context,
it should be. It should start from the smaller unit, and instill some sort of values and morals into the individuals in the society, so that they would be able to live, peacefully and be security conscious and loving, as the case may be.
Well, is lack of it really responsible for the spate of insecurity in Ikwere communities? That's a question. If it is, how do we enforce such needed control and not just stop at merely encouraging youths to pursue education and other meaningful ventures? Because everybody just says, go educate yourself. That's what you need. Get a job, get occupied, learn a skill. Like, it's almost like that's the magic wand. But
I think
honestly,
it's having
we know
the
it's
right
not.
orientation, all right? If your mind is, one that is built to be destructive, then obviously that's the kind of life you would lead.
Well, do we have the environment, the atmosphere that is needed for youths and young people to really be meaningful? That's also another thing we need to look at. Well, let's quickly get your thoughts on this and what you think about this statement that was being said coming from Wanjoku, where he said that societal control is responsible for what we have now. Well, call us up and share your thoughts on 0817 00951 and 0810 951 Again, 0817 00951 0810 Societal control. Is that the problem? Is that why? And he also said something about Ikwere being the most hit. I don't know, but most hit would... insecurity is ravaging many parts of River State. The Ogoni axis of the state, I think they are also seeing severe, touch. But I would agree with him to the extent that he went with Ikwere local government being most hit because of the kind of event that he was in. And so it's understandable. But then again, what he said about societal control is what we're looking at. Is that really what is needed to fix the problem that we have? All right, call us up on 0817000951, or you send us a WhatsApp message at the WhatsApp portal is 0701-933-9962. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, you're welcome. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
This is Mr. Webb. Mr. Webb.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the area of insecurity, I think insecurity, just like you said, insecurity seems to be everywhere, especially in River State here. But I wonder why it has to be like that. We know you can't completely wipe away insecurity because of the mindset of the people, the way people think. People just feel that they are somebody. Only when they try to destroy lives and properties. But in a way, I think my appeal to the powers in River State is, especially the government in River State today, is they should stop shifting blame, always saying, "Oh, I'm chief security officer only by name." Oh, are you with me, sir?
Yes.
stop saying you are chief security officer only by name.
But in this case, what would you say? According to what Wanjoku has said, Wanjoku is the chairman, the president general of Ikore Youth Movement, and he says that societal control is the reason why Ikore local government. He was precise about Ikore local government being the most hit by level of insecurity, which has brought about the level of underdevelopment that the region suffers. And he says societal control is the solution to that problem.
I really don't understand what you mean by societal control, but if I have to have a guess, just maybe for government to take care of what security should be. That's the way. That's my own personal thinking now.
Okay.
That's for government to take charge of security and make sure things are done well.
Right.
Also for that of parents too. Parents too have to many this thing. But for me, government first. After God is government in a country. See? So government should, just like I said, the government of the day should not only be shifting. You can see the federal government, federal institutions are helping the state in so many ways. But when it comes to real security, when there are breakdown, somebody else will say, "Oh, I'm just chief security officer by name," without first of all pointing to the fact that to any commissioner of police here or this being disloyal to his government. I think he talked also about Magnus Abe saying something. Can I react to that?
No, we haven't gotten to that yet. When we get to it, then you can react to it.
Okay. So basically, my own thinking is that, just like I said, government should take of Rivers State first and foremost before the federal government or any other thing to take charge of what security should be and make sure stamp your feet on the ground, and no matter who. I think we have just passed at
you made your point. Thank you very much. We have to end at that moment. Let's take a very short commercial break. When we return, former senator representing Rivers Southeast Senatorial District, Senator Magnus Abe, has said that lack of internal democracy among political parties is where the challenges of Nigerians begin. We'll be right back.
Admission. The Institute of Natural Resources, Environment and Sustainable Development of the University of Port Harcourt says it has extended its sales of admission forms to 30th of October 2019. Admissions are offered into postgraduate diploma, Masters of Science, Doctor of Philosophy in Natural Resources and Environmental Management, Masters of Science in Integrated Water Resources Management. Admissions for master's programs is open to first degree graduates in agricultural science, geography, environmental science, engineering, health sciences and related disciplines who possess minimum of second class lower of 3.0 CGPA on a 5-point scale and 2.40 CGPA on a 4-point scale. Postgraduate diploma candidates should possess a BSc with at least a third class honors, and HND candidates with at least a upper credit pass, while PhD candidates should have relevant master degree with minimum 3.50 CGPA on a 5-point scale. And all applicants must possess O-level results including credits in English and mathematics. A 12-month calendar for postgraduate diploma and masters for full-time students. No disruption of strike actions, while PhD programs last at least 24 months calendar. Notes: all programs are modular in full-time. In certain exceptional instances, arrangement for part-time may be considered. Application forms can be obtained from the Institute's office at Delta. Payment can be made directly to Fidelity Bank with account number 521-002-6885. For inquiry, call 0803-338-0463.
It all begins with breaking news.
Now, make no mistake, this is a difficult mission, and it will remain difficult for some time.
Then it keeps trending. Events, issues, personalities, all struggling to gain attention. But in the race for deadlines, the